Hello, welcome back to Killer Score, the podcast filmed entirely at a Dutch angle.
We tried to fix it. But
this room's it's off. The room's off.
A little bit.
It's a little crooked.
And our tripod's acted up a bit. So
our tripod should have been shot 5 years ago.
So it looks like we're filming for Battlefield Earth here in the murder basement. So, but yeah, we're back in
I prefer the term Citizen Kane.
Yeah, we're back in the murder basement. We got Musical March starting off. Woo!
Woo.
So, yep, Killer Score, the podcast where we cover cult classic movies with cool soundtracks we think deserve more attention, and we talk about their composers and the film itself. First episode of the, what is this, third year Musical March?
Yeah, third.
Third? I thought, oh yeah, it's third.
Third.
Kind of fucking around.
Because was this season 3 we're on?
Season
4.
Season 4, so 4 years of doing the podcast.
Yeah, 4
years.
Yeah.
Unless you count the first couple episodes pre-pandemic as like,
It was not pre-pandemic. We started in like April 2020. Let's be honest.
Yeah, kinda.
Just at the
hellscape that was 2020.
The hellscape.
Yeah, that was a fun era.
Speaking of that Dutch angle, if only there were some way for us to get optimal equipment and possibly even a less murderer basement-y studio.
Yeah, if only there.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, if only there was a way people could give us ideas for exclusive content and voting and suggesting for episodes and stuff like that.
Or even see
we would
exclusive
take
stuff.
Your accounts into consideration more for some reason. I don't know what it would be though. I'm just a guy thinking up silly little dreams and stuff like that.
Well, you know what? You know what my idea is?
What's that?
We have a Patreon and a Ko-Fi that you guys should subscribe to. Or donate to. Whatever you're able to do.
So I am jazzed for this one.
Insert the clip of Charlie's mom in Always Sunny being like, "Me need money, give money please. Money now me needing."
It's my money and I need it now.
Anyway. Really happy to be the bearer of the topic this time, because this episode is going to cover a very, very, very messy film adaptation of a all black casted, soul and funk scored musical. That's right, that is the Wizard of Oz adaptation known only as The Wiz.
I was gonna say, are we covering Hamilton? Because that's not a movie yet.
Which I've said, he could have been implying In the Heights.
Or In the Heights.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I'm the uninitiated, and I believe you are for the film version, right?
No, I've seen the film version.
No, she has.
I'm completely uninitiated for this, and I've always thought it's a charming idea, but it always confused me because I was like, well, The Wizard of Oz is already a musical? I understand making musical adaptations of things that aren't musicals. Technically, A Star is Born didn't start out as a musical. The original version's not really much of a musical.
No.
But the later versions are more of a musical.
Yeah.
When you get from the Judy Garland version to the
Barbra Streisand.
Yeah, it becomes more of a musical.
Mm-hmm.
So, the whole idea of this film was to put a funkier, black-inspired type of musical into the world of Oz, as it were. And, bless you.
Thank you.
And,
Which
interesting.
reminds me, I'm surprised there isn't more classic children's, books that have been made into stage musicals.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that's
Bless you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Oz they did into stage shows and stuff. I was always surprised some of the other turn of the century children's fantasy literature never got made into a musical.
Peter Pan's a musical.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
But I was surprised, for example, no one ever did Narnia. There was never a Narnia.
Well, that was written in the 50s.
Was it?
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah, it
remember
was.
the first book takes place during World War II.
Oh yeah, but like it still surprises me.
Yeah.
Like you feel like somebody would jump in on that.
That could make a good musical, but
But there's also too many books and too much weird allegory.
Yeah, I guess you could just do vaguely off of like
The first two.
yeah, or just do a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe musical because that's what
Yeah.
everyone
yeah,
knows.
that's
you know?
the
Or the Magician's Apprentice, like the two people know.
So, this movie was an adaptation long in the making, and before we talk about this particular musical and its adaptation
Of the
we
stage
got
show,
to-
right?
of the stage show,
Yeah.
we have to talk about what decade this was. The 70s.
Yeah,
The-
a lot of shit happened.
A lot of shit happened.
Everyone was on cocaine.
And
For
amongst other things.
for some reason, it was called the Feel Good Decade, despite the fact that a lot of aspects of it were living hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was called the Feel Good Decade, but the one thing everyone talks about the 70s is how it was just kind of a decade where not a lot happened.
But a lot happened at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a boring decade for the most part, a lot of people say, you know.
But damn if there isn't good music.
Yeah.
And
Oh shit, yeah.
and standing arguably on top of the American music scene at the time was none other than Motown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to the film adaptation of the aforementioned stage musical The Wiz, with music and lyrics by Charlie Smalls and a book written by acclaimed scriptwriter and playwright William F. Brown.
And, you know, it's not necessarily... Now, I know a lot of people immediately go, because of our current modern landscape, that film versions of stage musicals just turn out bad. Like, a lot of people...
Always the case.
No,
I've
no.
just shown on this podcast.
Especially with, funny enough, a lot of the older stage musical film adaptations. Like, a lot of those are very well received. I mean, hot take here from me, I was never one of the people who cared for the film version, the original film version of West Side Story.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
kind of hate it, to be
Same.
honest. I think Tony's actor is the worst.
Mhm.
Like, they picked the whitest white man in existence
Yeah.
to play Tony, who's supposed to, you know,
Be
bit mixed.
Vaguely Italian.
Yeah.
Kind of, and vaguely mixed and
No.
ethnic.
no disrespect to Robert Wise, though.
Yeah.
He was a genius.
He's the they chose the most Anglo-Saxon looking
Motherfucker.
guy who's clearly also not a teenager.
Yeah, I mean, film still has that problem of casting 30-year-olds to play teenagers.
He's also not a tenor, which always pissed me off.
yeah.
He's
They
supposed to
didn't-
be a tenor.
Yeah, Tony is one of the most famous tenor roles on Broadway, and they didn't get a tenor to play him. But my point is,
I mean, they got Tom Hiddleston to play Hank Williams, and look at that difference in voice.
yeah. But my point is, some film adaptations of stage musicals can turn out really well.
This, however, is not one such scenario,
Okay.
as I will
Yeah.
tell you right now.
Like,
Sorry.
sorry, I wasn't finished my thing. Because, like, for a really famous example of how this can work out well, look at The Sound of Music,
Yeah.
where the film version was actually so well received that later stage adaptations incorporated elements and songs from the film version into the stage version.
Yeah, same goes with the later the later stage adaptations of Cabaret after the film came out.
Yeah.
Because I forget which songs originated from the movie. Isn't it How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria from the film, actually?
I have no idea.
Well, some of the songs from the film made it back into the stage show. I'll look it up later, and when we come back, I'll just be like, hey, it was that. But yeah, let Richie get into his rambling trivia.
Ow.
Rambling, he says.
Well, hey, I knew you wrote down a buttload of trivia, so if it's anything like the Shaun of the Dead episode, we're going to be here for a bit.
Oh, we are. So, production started off reasonably smoothly, believe it or not. It was picked up by the film arm of Motown Pictures.
That was a thing?
Yeah, it was.
a thing.
Yeah, it was. Unsurprisingly, a lot of blaxploitation films and musicals were underneath the umbrella of Motown Pictures at the time, and Berry Gordy had a
notoriously terrible man.
notoriously terrible.
Isn't he still alive, too?
Yeah, he is.
Oh God.
He's not a good person.
Allegedly.
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 Yeah.
Anywho.
As the famous John Mulaney joke goes, "Wow, Mr. Berry Gordy, you tell me you'll buy all my records for $500? That's mighty generous of you."
Please don't do that voiceover again.
Please don't.
Yeah, but hey, I'm just quoting the John
Mulaney.
But yeah.
And anywho.
It's true, though.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, believe it or not, his original plan for The Wiz was a pretty sound one.
Okay.
Get most of his session musicians for the already soulful score, and cast the star of the original stage version. Name has escaped me off the top of my head.
Richard Pryor.
No.
Imagine if they got the entirety of Earth, Wind, and Fire to play the...
I would love that.
To play the Munchkins.
Oh, that would have been
Wait,
funny.
What?
That would be funny, though.
That would have been funny.
Get all of Earth, Wind, and Fire to play
Get all 20 people.
Get all of them to play the Emerald City Guards.
Anywho, Stephanie Mills, the original stage star of the Broadway version of The Wiz, was slated to play Dorothy.
Okay.
But as the ambition and scale of the production grew, so too did the stars attached to it.
Introduce Donna Summer.
Wrong one.
I know.
And this is where Supreme's...
Yeah, Diana Ross, sorry.
This is where Supreme's lead singer, Diana Ross, comes in, and things go very haywire very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Berry Gordy still has his meddling hands in music to this day.
Case in point, his nephew.
Yeah,
being...
LMFAO was an industry plant. Like,
it was a
not
plant.
even joking. Both members of LMFAO
Were
are
Gordy's.
his family member.
Are Berry Gordy's family members.
Yeah. One of them's his nephew.
Yeah, Red Foo, I think.
Yeah, it's like his nephew and like his brother, I think.
I thought
Nephew,
it was like his cousin or something.
Nephew and Red Foo's nephew, respectively.
Yeah.
There's a nephew and a nephew.
Nephew and a nephew.
So yeah, literally just family members of Berry Gordy, which explains how LMFAO sprung up out of nowhere and was like
and
the
then
biggest
disappeared
thing.
out of nowhere.
Yeah, apparently the two hated each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he knows her band family.
So yeah.
Believe it or not, however, Berry Gordy was not the biggest meddler in this whole production by a long shot.
What?
That would very much be Diana Ross,
That's true.
who herself had campaigned.
Oh, yeah, isn't she like a notorious diva?
Notorious diva.
Yeah.
In fact, I was talking to my stepdad just the other day because he is a big music guy. Big into
what was
soul
the
music.
Group she was in that she basically
The
ended up
Supremes.
Yeah,
The
wasn't she
Supremes.
the reason they broke up basically?
Essentially.
Yeah.
Gotta say though, she had some fabulous solo albums.
Oh yeah.
Upside Down is a disco classic. Anyway, she had campaigned hard, and I mean,
Sorry.
Damn it!
When I hear Upside Down, I just think of that song that was made for the Curious George movie.
You mean Jack Johnson?
Yeah, the Jack Johnson song.
Upside
Well,
Down.
it was made for the Curious George movie.
Yeah. Sorry, let's continue and get out of Jack Johnson.
So, when I
Last
say
words at the gay orgy. Let's continue and get out of Jack Johnson. Sorry, I don't know if Jack Johnson is gay, but that's what immediately sprung into my
I'm
head.
sorry, but that is his actual name.
And it sounds like a porn star name.
Yeah, anyway.
Jack Johnson.
So, when I tell you Diana Ross had campaigned hard to be in the lead role, I mean she basically argued her way to the top with the producers, namely Berry Gordy and fellow producer, if I could find his name, Rob Cohen.
Oh, I've heard of Rob Cohen.
Who essentially took Mills off the project and completely rewrote Dorothy for Diana Ross. For context, other than its change in cast, The Wiz is more or less the same characterization-wise to the Oz characters, namely Dorothy, who in the original stage version, is very much a farm girl from Kansas.
Wasn't, like, no offense to her, but wasn't Diana Ross kind of old for Dorothy at that point?
Yes.
Because wasn't she, like, in her 30s at
Yes,
that
she
point?
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is what brings us to the rewrite, because in the film version, she is a Harlem school teacher.
Yeah.
And yes. Oh, it gets worse from there.
Okay.
As I said before, things started out smooth enough because they had
Barry Gordy involved.
Barry Gordy involved, and Saturday Night Fever director John Badham directing this
The
adaptation.
queen of the Motown Iron Fist herself, Donna Summers. The Heihachi Mishima. Well, actually,
This is Diana Ross we're talking about.
Donna Summer had nothing to do with
had
this.
nothing to do with it. I was
Diana
looking at
Ross,
the name
sorry,
wrong.
Diana Ross. Diana Ross, the queen of the Iron Fist for this case of herself. So she'd be kind of the Kazuya Mishima to Motown.
Damn it, why do my intros always get derailed?
No, all intros get derailed. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they
here.
all
Okay,
do.
that's
They
fair.
all do.
I'm sorry, I'm just being salty.
Hey, look at my Sean one. My
Yeah, your Sean one
I was
had
getting
some-
derailed.
Yeah, look at everyone I do.
So,
Sorry.
Erin, I'm sorry.
We're all one big happy family on Killer School.
we
We
are.
love you.
We love
I
everything.
can't move my arm.
So,
Yeah, my elbow was digging into your phone case.
after Diana Ross got involved, Badham basically said something to the effect of Diana Ross is a lovely performer and one of the best voices,
She's not a very
but
nice
she's not Dorothy.
No.
So he stepped off of the project
Oh god.
and left the producers to find a new director.
Oh boy.
Now let me ask you something, guys. Who could be a better director for a literal musical than the guy who did 12 Angry Men and Dog Day Afternoon?
The fuck?
That guy?
You heard me. Sidney Lumet was hired to direct The Wiz.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Great
Great director.
Amazing
However,
filmography.
musical-
Super versatile. Did Serpico as well.
He did.
Yeah, and, like, defining films of the 70s.
Yeah.
But when I tell you he
What, a
was...
musical?
That's like
No.
Yeah, I was expecting like, hey, what do you want Martin Scorsese to do next? A musical. The
Well,
fuck?
he did.
He did.
New York, New York.
Yes.
Yeah, the difference was that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But Lumet himself was confused by being put onto this project.
Yeah,
And
I was half expecting you to be like, hey, you know who famously likes Harlem culture and music? George Lucas. He should direct this.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I'm not lying. George Lucas famously does like Harlem music and the culture
Oh, yeah.
and stuff like that.
Look at stuff like American Graffiti.
Yeah.
But that's what it feels like here to be like, hey, George.
So
And then he got fired and they replaced him with someone else.
George,
I
you're
had
not
no
doing a
idea.
Star
I
Wars.
was right. Oh fuck.
So yeah, Sidney Lumet was hired on to direct, and to say things went off the rails is putting it very mildly.
Oh no, was he not a good fit for the project?
It's gonna shock you, Dalton, but no, he was not.
Sydney.
We will get into the problems inherent with the cinematography post-screening, but all sorts of other changes happened thanks to
You think
meddling
you
going on.
Probably.
We have Diana Ross basically strong,
Yeah. Bring in
strong
director
arm.
3 as well. Who's director 3?
It's funny you should mention that because
Okay.
he didn't help direct it,
Okay.
but Diana Ross's influence did not stop with the casting. At the time, she was very much influenced by the writings and teachings of one
Sun Tzu, The Art of War.
no
I'm kidding.
of one lecturer, Werner Erhard.
Whoever the hell that is.
Werner Erhard. He was one of those self-help gurus who was really
Oh
big.
god.
And
Oh god,
Oh,
for a
God.
second, I heard music and influenced by the teachings of, and I was like, oh, he's gonna say Ravi Shankar.
no.
Oh please no.
But yeah, Diana Ross was
fighting in India.
so Diana Ross was very heavily influenced in her heavily improvised monologues as Dorothy by Werner Erhard, and also really big into his stuff at the time was writer Joel Schumacher.
I was half expecting that, like, to me, this sounds like someone going on to a musical and just suddenly busting out Carl Jung quotes in the middle of it. And you're just like,
Oh,
The fuck are you doing?
why are you
Daulton,
talking about the
Daulton,
persona?
Dalton. Trust me,
Tell me about
it is that bad. It does get that bad, and you'll see why. With even Joel Schumacher himself saying,
What?
basically,
Basically being like,
in
what?
hindsight, he was like, I was really into Earnhardt's stuff, he said. But everything that ended up happening at the very end of The Wiz was just a bunch of treacly self-help bullshit.
Ah.
Yep.
And-
Unfortunately, yes.
And normally, this is probably where most people expect me to jump on the internet bandwagon of shitting on Schumacher.
Or, jump on the whole thing of like, oh, well, I mean, you could argue that the original Wizard of Oz ends with self-help mentality because it's all like, well, the power's in you. Oh.
But the whole thing gets quickly derailed by Diana Ross, who
Won't shut up.
number one won't shut up. Number two,
Nailed it.
number two was too old for the part. I'm sorry. And number three, she can't act. I'm
She's
sorry.
not,
She did.
she's not a
She didn't act.
Kobe.
But
I nailed it.
But yeah, I want to clarify as we continue to go into the production problems. Joel Schumacher was a good filmmaker.
He was. Look at Lost
Did
Boys.
did he have a lot of? Oh yeah, Lost Boys.
Lost Boys. Didn't he do A Time to Kill?
I don't believe so. He did Falling Down though,
Falling
one of my favorite
Down?
movies.
Yeah, like he's got a great filmography. People
It
don't-
just so happens that he has some stinkers.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he directed like a whole new era film. He discovered a bunch of young, talented like actors and stuff.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Did he do Dead Poets?
No.
I know he did like one of those aspirational like '80s movies.
St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh yeah, which
Oh,
I
yeah, that was in almost
mixed reviews on that one. Some people like it, some people don't. But,
It's I don't
It's
like
mid.
it. I don't like it.
Hey, I like Joel Schumacher though.
But yeah, he was a talented guy who just so happened to be kind of misplaced in terms of screenwriting and directing roles.
Yeah,
But
my thing with people shitting on Joel Schumacher is it's kind of like for me shitting on. It's kind of like shitting on good old.
What's his face?
Oh God, I'm doing that thing where I blank and I'm feeling real. John Waters.
John Waters.
It's like
Yeah.
shitting on John Waters. Look, just say you don't like the style. You don't have to be mean.
Also,
Yeah.
some people, not all, but some.
Hate those two because they're gay.
Yeah, that like
Let's
there's
face it.
a homophobic undercurrent to the backlash.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
just look at the Batman stuff.
Yeah.
But getting back to the Wiz, that whole process and casting had something of a ripple effect on the rest of the production.
Mm-hmm.
Sidney Lumet being hired and some people being cast in certain roles meant entire musical numbers were cut out and entirely new ones were put in.
No, no.
And
Now I'm just picturing a John Waters version of this movie.
Nope.
no. But
Divine is the Cowardly Lion.
so anyway,
I mean, no matter what, Divine would put in a good performance, even if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy and over the top.
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's divine.
It's divine. But no character suffers quite like anybody else does in this movie.
Like Dorothy.
Arguably, but at least Diana Ross's singing is good.
Yeah.
However,
Well, it's Diana Ross.
well, yeah, it's Diana Ross. But, however, the Wizard himself. He had 2 musical numbers in the original, both of which are cut down to mere leitmotifs because of who they cast as the
Leitmotif.
Wizard. Leitmotif.
And also, let's face it, it sucks that they didn't bring Andre DeShields in.
Oh, absolutely. It really should have brought him in.
Uh-huh.
Because didn't he play the Wizard in the original production?
In the Broadway cast.
Yes, he
yeah.
did.
And it should have been Andre.
Should've
Andre
been Andre.
DeShields is a legend.
You know who
Yes.
they did cast for the film version, though?
Perfect in Hades Town.
Richard Pryor. Yep. And
Richard Pryor is an amazing comedian. There's no denying that.
Oh, legend.
However, he is poison to films.
Yes.
Which brings me to the ripple effect that this film as a whole...
Superman 3.
I wasn't going to go there, but okay.
I was going to go with Superman 3.
Hey, Dalton,
Yeah.
Slap yourself.
Okay, why? Is it because he's the only good part of that movie?
Why are you right? I fucking hate that you're right. Anyway, so predictably, with all the hoops this movie was forced to jump through, it bombed at the box office, and critics were very divided on it. Mainly negative, however, citing the
Stack Time too, I guess it came out at.
Stack Time. Let's see what it was competing against while I tell you about the ripple effect this had.
Sure.
The unfortunate legacy of this film is how ultimately at the box office it's...
Oh yeah, didn't this kill black-led movies for a while?
Mm-hmm. Blaxploitation effectively disappeared from the box office, and the biggest box office turn-ins among black actors at the time were Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy. And sadly, in the case of the former, in the case of Pryor, it was mostly as numero dos in a bunch of buddy acts like those of Gene Wilder and the like.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny too because Eddie Murphy didn't even blow up for another few years because his big breakout role was like I believe 48 Hours.
48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop.
Well, 48 Hours is what led them into going, oh, this guy could lead a movie.
Good movie.
Yeah,
Haven't seen it.
Beverly Hills Cop was literally rewritten for Eddie Murphy. Like,
oh wow.
They were like, it started out as like, it was still funny when it started out, but it was kind of like satirical. Mm-hmm. And then when they hired Eddie Murphy, because like Michael Eisner and the other people involved in the production of it were like, this Eddie.
Wait. Michael Eisner was involved in Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, he worked at Paramount before.
Yeah, he did.
Disney.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He worked at Paramount before Disney.
So, numbers are inexact and inconsistent, but
the real secret of the film industry is it's not 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, it's 6 degrees of Michael Eisner.
But apparently they reported a net loss of $10.4 million for Motown and Universal.
Yeah.
Jeez.
For example, a big early champion of BoJack Horseman who helped the show get greenlight was Michael Eisner.
That's wild.
Yeah, but when you stop to look at Michael Eisner's life story and you stop to look at the BoJack story, you're like, oh!
Little bit of resonance there.
Well, not only that, but BoJack's a show that's filled with like industry insider Hollywood jokes, which is something that Michael Eisner loves.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the notorious flop Disney ride Superstar Limo.
Oh, don't get me started on that one.
Oh, that's a video.
Go watch The Defunct Land.
Yeah,
go
go to that one.
Yeah. After this video, of course.
After this video. So yeah, hasn't aged well, and not that it ever had a good start to begin with. However, there are a few things that came of this film. Mm-hmm. Mainly, future adaptations basically use this as a master class on what not to do with the source material.
Yeah.
But also, on a much lighter note, the Motown associates being caught in this big giant web that was The Wiz did result in Michael Jackson meeting with producer Quincy Jones.
Oh.
Who, for the uninitiated, was very much responsible for his hit albums Thriller and Bad.
Yeah.
And
didn't he do some of those other ones before that too?
Off the Wall, I think.
Yeah, I thought he did Off the Wall.
I'm pretty sure he did Off the Wall, but
what's
that'll
a
be
weirder Michael Jackson film thing? This or him doing the theme for Ben?
Ben. By a long shot.
Yeah.
Hey, for those uninitiated, Ben is a horror film and a sequel to Willard about the dude who has pet rats that kill people.
And by the way, it's the most mid movie you could imagine. It's not bad. It's just there.
It's there.
It exists.
Willard still is pretty good.
But it has an incredibly good, touching ballad by Michael Jackson
about Ben.
About the Rat Man.
No. About the rat.
He made a ballad about a rat, and it's good. Didn't it win an Academy Award, that song?
It was nominated.
It was
at the very
nominated
least.
at the very
Which is
So-
kind of crazy.
Because horror movies never get nominated for Academy Awards.
So-
That's a fact.
And also, Best Original Song from a Horror Movie?
Look,
I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of any other horror movie that has an original song. Like,
A lot of the 80s slashers.
that's true. I mean, look at Friday the 13th.
That's like hearing Dream Warriors by Dokken was nominated for an Academy Award.
Or that
Oh
Alice
my
Cooper
God.
song in
There's two.
okay, but
There's
why
two
those
Alice Cooper
songs?
There's two Alice Cooper songs that are original for Friday the 13th Part 6. There's Teenage Frankenstein and He's Back. Parentheses, the man behind.
Ben, like, I want to clarify that Ben is very much the antagonist of both movies.
And he gets a touching ballad.
And he gets a touching ballad about what a fucking good friend he is.
He's such a
It's
good
like,
friend.
And
He's
apparently it was just because Michael Jackson likes rats.
apparently he wanted to remove the stigma
about
of
surrounding rats.
about
So he's going to make a touching ballad for a movie about a killer rat.
What the actual fuck are we doing?
anyone at this timestamp, look it up. It's so good.
Just pause this video and go look at
Go
that
listen to
movie.
Ben. Go
Listen to Ben.
Okay, we're going to wait for a sec. You're going to go listen to Ben, okay?
I think you'll really like Madam Web.
Okay, ready? All right, that was weird, right? It was good.
It was good.
But
it
why
was
is it a
weird.
song about a killer rat? Why is it a tender ballad?
Why are you breaking our microphone?
We're fine. We're good. What else can you? What would you want?
Ben.
Would you want him to be more reserved about this at all?
No, but I'm just looking at how many times he's peaked in the last minute.
I don't think people are recognizing the insanity of this. Like,
All right.
give me a good... Okay, Adele. Adele's a good ballad maker.
Yes.
Imagine if Adele made, like,
A song
a
about
tender ballad for that song that came out a few years ago about the killer crocodiles and, like, the during the hurricane in Florida.
What the actual...
Crawl. That one that had the girl from Skins, one of the
Oh
girls
my
from
god,
Skins.
it was Effie from Skins
Yeah.
was in there.
Imagine if Adele wrote a song for that was like a tender love ballad to the crocodile.
I'm always thinking about how that song would go. It's really fucking funny.
Never mind, I'll find a gator like you. All right.
Okay.
So,
We're
Crawl
not-
through the
despite-
We're
Everglades.
already half an hour into this.
despite pretty much everything about this film being
This is our podcast.
despite everything about The Wiz basically being congealed failure, it does have a surprising cult audience.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Mostly fans of Michael Jackson who played this movie's version of the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I will warn you guys,
It's weird.
it's a weird movie.
Is he the best part about the movie?
Arguably him or the Wicked Witch,
Yeah.
Okay.
played by Mabel King.
Okay.
More trivia about that later, but we got to get into it.
We gotta get into it. We're
but-
already
brief,
34
give a
minutes
brief
in.
But yeah,
synopsis.
this,
We always forget to do that. Let's give a synopsis to the audience before we get into it.
It's Wizard of Oz, but it's Motown. There
It's
you go.
It's Wizard of Oz, but Motown, and also Dorothy is a 30-year-old school
woman
teacher
for this.
from Harlem, as opposed to the Kansas farm girl.
Sure.
It's a fucking mixed bag, and the songs are the best part of it, and it is marred by terrible cinematography and questionable casting, which we will get into right after this screening.
And we're
Hey,
back.
Yep, welcome back to Killer Score.
Already.
We are back from our screening of The Wiz. Its flaws were warned about, and its flaws were on screen.
Okay.
So I've already gone over what the
warm.
issues were. I've already gone over what the issues were, how the shot composition sucks. We'll get all into all that. Uninitiated, Mr. Morrison, what did you think?
I think he just gave the camera the finger.
Well, let me tell you what I think. You see, I was trying to replicate the timing of how things go in this movie. There'll just be these inexplainable stretches in the movie where you're like, Dorothy, and you're like, that's what you went with? It honestly feels like the editor was asleep at the wheel in this movie several times.
And
just like woke up and was like,
oh, where am I?
oh, what?
Ladies
It's like
and
that
gentlemen,
picture of the cat under the weighted blanket.
ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the first musical film directed by William Shatner.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the first musical film edited by a narcoleptic.
So,
is Jimmy editing? I think so.
Huh.
So, continue.
Oh shit, he's asleep.
Yeah, basically. I'm the uninitiated. I gotta say, not a fan. It just drags on. Like, scenes that should be longer are too short. Scenes that should be shorter are too long. The shot, what really kills us, though, is the shot composition. Because it's not even like you can make the argument of like, oh, well, you know, it was the early times of doing filmed versions and like film musicals with like high energy and choreography. Like, even besides that, even going back like 10, 20 years, look at the composition, look at the shot composition, look at the editing, look at the cinematography and the original film version of The Music Man.
Hell,
I was going to say, how the Sound of Music.
Yeah, Sound of Music.
This movie, everyone's trying their best, but it's just so bad on the technical side. That's
sucks.
What really kills
the
this.
technical side, and the fact that Sidney Lumet was absolutely the wrong director choice for this. No further proof is there of this.
Because you can literally see his directing style at work in this movie, and his directing style does not.
It doesn't work.
Because he's well known for like long, lingering shots that like
but the shots
really soak in the mood. But you can't do that with a film musical.
So
no, you can do that with a drama. You can do that with a dramatic scene. You can do that with a drama film. You can do that with a lot of genres of film. However, the problem is when you do a long, lingering shot, it's meant to build tension.
Because I'll be honest with you, Sidney Lumet has directed 2 movies that I don't know where I'd place them in my favorites, but they're up there for my favorite films.
Yeah.
Like, Dog Day Afternoon and 12 Angry Men are incredible films.
12 Angry Men is a classic.
Yeah. And, like, it shows you that Lumet can do a lot with a little. Which, honestly, that's probably the problem with this movie, is there's too much for Lumet. Lumet's strength is making a lot out of a little. Dog Day Afternoon, you basically, until the end of the movie, you pretty much never leave the 2 sets, which are the street and the bank. That's it. This movie's got a lot of big, elaborate sets, but it doesn't use or shoot them well.
Yeah, it doesn't use the sets. Like, it literally, in the beginning of the movie, they have like a giant playground that doesn't get used.
And, my God, the lighting in this movie.
Oh, the lighting.
I took my glasses off at some point because I was like,
on off. She was like on and off with her glasses,
just trying to see the movie better because that's how badly lit this movie is. Like, I know I have terrible vision. However,
and to compare,
if I have to do this where I can't even see the camera in front of me, that's when there's a problem with your goddamn movie.
And to compare it to something I brought up earlier in the prelude to the screening. Yeah. The Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
Look at how well shot and choreographed that film is. Look at Maria's Confidence music number.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's really well shot, you know?
Yeah.
It's a dragging shot, you know, we got a low angle like dolly shot as she's dancing around and it's like we're walking along with her, you know? Mm-hmm. It works really well. And you know what that musical number isn't shot from? It isn't shot from her back where we can't see her expression.
See, the real kicker is, apologies, Erin, the aforementioned back shot that happens is during the musical number, arguably the signature song of The Wiz, Easin' On Down the Road. And the first big shot of it is of Diana Ross and Michael Jackson kind of waltzing down the roads, and the camera is situated on their backs because that is what we want to see in this big happy journey music, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was going to say something.
I'm sorry.
So I feel like there's two reasons for that. One, just straight up laziness, not wanting to actually care about shot composition. And two, Diana Ross is not a facial actress. She is not an actress to begin with.
That's true.
And she makes the weirdest and dumbest faces in the entirety of this movie.
This movie is the definition of the MST3K bit with dull surprise.
What? Yeah, like I'm like
Here,
I can't.
everyone do a dull surprise expression. Ready?
No.
There, you just watch this film.
All the mugging that Diana Ross does is
It's
so...
not even mugging.
It's dull surprise.
Dull
It's just
surprise.
those fucking surprise.
So, there is an unfortunate harshness towards aging in Hollywood, especially towards actresses,
Yeah.
But,
The running joke that once you turn like 40, you're basically a mom or a grandma.
yeah,
I
but...
mean, it's a hallmark of Hollywood that they started to make movies just about that subject, and they're great. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane?
Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, the aging actress who doesn't have a career anymore.
Yeah, and...
it's a staple.
and-
That one, or even that one Batman the Animated Series episode.
Baby Doll.
Yeah,
Um,
all great stuff.
And the thing is, like, I'm trying not to play into that whole thing, but Diana Ross was too old and not well equipped to emote in this movie.
I don't want to go over the, oh my god, she's too old to be playing this role, because it is established she is a kindergarten teacher in the beginning of this movie. So it's established she has to be at least in her 30s.
However,
She looks much older.
Yeah, and two, they literally had to rewrite the part for her to explain why this adult woman
is
playing a role that's supposed to be a teenage girl in
Yeah.
every other version.
yeah, she's still the Kansas farm girl in the original Wiz. I saw a production of the Wiz when I was real little, and in that, it's still Kansas. It's still a tornado and not whatever this snow-nado thing was that just pops up in the middle of Harlem.
Yeah.
On Thanksgiving.
It's like, oh my god, you know what this reminds me of?
What?
There is a ballet called the Harlem Nutcracker,
Yeah.
which is exactly what it sounds like. It's
Yeah.
a more urbanized and black casted Nutcracker.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to do that in this film adaptation, and they failed miserably because the darker elements fit the Harlem Nutcracker because it's already kind of because the Nutcracker's already kind of a
Weird
weird,
to begin with.
eerie ballet,
Yeah.
but
With a really dumbass ending. You can tell Tchaikovsky just kind of threw it in there.
yeah, and then but for this, the whimsical elements of Oz are actively at odds with the weird urban dark fantasy things that they threw in. Some of those things are cool, like the killer subway. I like the columns breaking off and the wiring coming off.
Yeah, but it didn't look
Good.
like wiring.
You know,
It looked like either a telephone cord or chemical enzyme structure.
the entire subway section looks like one of the episodes of Doctor Who that Michael Grade showed to the BBC comp to be like, see, the show sucks. Look how poorly made it is. We gotta cancel.
You know what the real highlight is? The killer
Cannabis
trash
control.
cans.
Yeah. That literally looked like something from 70s Who. I was expecting Joe or Sarah Jane to shout, Doctor! And hear the bwah, and it cuts the credits. That's what it felt like.
There are things that you can point to as being good things to praise in a better adaptation or just the stage version.
Oh boy.
John Pertwee or Tom Baker making that face that they do for like cliffhanger endings where they're like,
It feels like 70s Doctor Who.
The score.
It exists.
Like,
It's a thing.
I mean, those are some good
I mean,
numbers.
there's some good
They're
numbers.
good
They're just
numbers.
put in. They're just not well executed.
They're not
via
well
film.
filmed. They're not well executed.
They
I
don't
felt,
have good choices for the roles.
case in point, I'm gonna say it. The only two actors who I thought were well casted at all, in the slightest,
Yeah.
were Michael Jackson as
Yes.
the Scarecrow and the original Broadway actor that they managed to rope in for the Lion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I want to establish to you people here that they have Michael Jackson doing the most iconic musical number from the stage thing. One of the greatest dancers in pop music history. Perhaps the greatest dancer in pop music history. They shoot him far from the back and not the front so we can see his facial expressions while he is dancing.
Also, you can tell he's very uncomfortable in that costume throughout the entire movie.
He's
Like-
wincing the whole time.
He's not only wincing the whole time, it's the fact that those shoes are clown shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you can walk around or even dance comfortably in that, let alone dance.
And for some reason, they glued a Reese's cup to his
Reese's cup wrapper to his face.
to his nose.
And also, another thing I was going to mention regarding Michael Jackson's costume, I don't know if he was allergic to latex, but he looked like he was.
Yeah, and like it's clearly like a latex headpiece, and I guess
He
they
looks
knew
very
he would get
uncomfortable and
hot
itchy
with the
and hot.
thing. But the thing is, they didn't try to disguise the fact that they just pulled the mask
neck
out
flap?
from the neck, so it's just there the entire film, and you're just every time it goes up to him and you're staring at him,
You just see this
you're just like
fake skin hanging
and it
out. It's
flaps
really
around,
creepy.
and it
Yeah.
flaps around,
And
and you just
disturbing.
keep being like, tuck it, guys, it's
You
in
gotta
the-
tuck it into the
you
shirt.
tuck it, guys, and it's the most frustrating thing because it's the easiest thing to fix, and they never do.
I think they were trying to do like the mask on a scarecrow kind of thing, but if you want to do that, use a different material than liquid latex.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
when you use liquid latex, it just looks shitty.
It does. Plus, his face was covered in liquid latex too.
Yeah, it's just a mess. Like, I don't know why they didn't do, like the original Wizard of Oz and
Yeah.
do like a cloth looking material for a
Or
character.
even like use mixer
Or, like,
burlap and liquid
canvas.
latex.
Yeah. Or for a character called the Scarecrow,
Scarecrow.
who doesn't look like a scarecrow. He looks like a weird, fucked up Raggedy Ann doll.
Or a clown.
Or like he's covered in latex.
Yeah. I liked the Tin Man to an extent. I thought his costume was all right.
I mean,
Nipsey.
his costume is fine. I'm not gonna discount the creativity of the Tin Man's costume.
What with the horseshoe ears and
Like everything looked like it was made out of scrap metal, which I appreciate.
yeah.
However, certain things with the Tin Man I didn't like.
namely
Mainly when it's like, what are you doing, Diana Ross, right there?
yeah, that was awkward.
Yeah.
Also the fact that they added on a musical number. He only had the Tin Man only had the one musical number in the stage show, and it's the oil number.
Yeah.
Whereas they put in a soul ballad about him lacking feelings
Immediately after.
immediately before. Yeah, so they
Yeah.
do the whole soul ballad thing where he kind of talks things. And barely 5 minutes pass, and we're doing the whole pour some oil down here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, the arrangement's great. Poor Quincy Jones, man.
This
What a waste of his talent.
and as
That was
someone
Nipsey Russell.
No. I'm talking about the
Oh, the
arrangement.
composer. The arranger.
Because the arrangements were done by Quincy Jones,
Gotcha.
which as established before, is
And-
how he met Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I'm new to this, as I said. One thing that I hadn't really heard much of The Wiz before this, like in much of the musical numbers. I had only really heard some snippets of Easy Down the Road.
Yeah, like I've heard Ethan Down the Road and a couple other songs, but it's been so many years for me because my mom had the Broadway version on vinyl when I was a kid.
Oh, the good version.
The good version, the one with
yeah,
Andre the Shields.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a vinyl pressing of the original Broadway cast.
Yeah.
Recording. So I was like, oh, this is good. And then I remember I watched the movie, and then I fell asleep.
And this is like a minor critique, because I know it's probably a part of the original stage version too. I don't know how you get a stage, like, I get that they were doing a different interpretation of The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
But the film has a bunch of great original iconic musical numbers. I'm surprised that there's not even like little musical like homages or snippets from the original film that make it into like the Broadway version and the Wiz in turn. Like, it just feels weird to me because like there's this weird disconnect of like, oh, the witch is dead. They're gonna sing Ding Dong, the witch is dead. Oh no, they're singing a music number that sounds nothing like Ding Dong, the witch is dead.
I mean,
and it doesn't even use any of the music.
That's not. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, I'm just saying I would have liked at least some little musical snippets.
You know what pissed me off?
Like, I would have liked to hear like a little bit of a bridge from one of the songs
Maybe.
from the original. You know.
Oh, speaking,
I think they were just trying to completely recreate from the ground up.
I get that, but like, they rely so heavily visually on the MGM version that it feels like weird when they don't use like even just like a little bridge of a snippet or like even like the same musical progression from some stuff. Like, it's completely different. I can respect what they were doing, but it did feel like a weird disconnect because it's borrowing so much from the MGM
visually.
Speaking of missing musical cues, as I said before, the casting of Richard Pryor was a huge mistake for the Wizard because they cut out.
He clearly doesn't want to be there.
He doesn't want to be there, and also, the Wizard had at least 2 musical numbers in the show.
Yeah.
They took out "So You Want to Meet the Wizard," aka one of the best songs in the original, and they reduced it to a token reference in a line.
Yeah.
And also, there are so many numbers just ruined by the shot composition. Namely, my personal favorite, "Don't Nobody Bring Me No Bad News," the Wicked Witch number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Mabel King does a good job.
But I hate how she looks in this film.
She looks like a pomegranate that's been tarred and feathered.
She looks like she looks like a person they tarred and feathered, but they didn't have feathers and they threw candy at them.
Wow.
Because like you can look at the outfit.
Costume.
There's a candy costume, and it's like, maybe if you were going for like referencing the, like the Hansel and Gretel stuff, but like she doesn't really.
Which is a different context.
Yeah, and she doesn't really have any other Hansel and Gretel motifs. They even do the oven bit, so I was expecting, it's a Hansel and Gretel thing. She's gonna get killed by being pushed into an oven. Change it up from the original. No, they just do the melted by water thing again.
Going down
into
a toilet.
It's even dumber because
she has her weakness installed in her castle.
And here's the thing, like, before anyone tells me, safety hazards.
She doesn't care about
She doesn't.
Workers.
It's a fucking sweatshop.
Why would she have it in there?
Like,
that would be like literally me being like, I know I'm allergic to latex, and I have this castle where I'm going to like run a sweatshop. I'm going to make the walls latex so I break out in hives every time I breathe.
That'd be like you keeping like an industrial vat filled with papaya juice.
Oh my god, you're right.
No. And the worst part is, that's literally how the Energizer Bunny takes her out in the commercial with the sprinkler.
Because here's the thing, too.
Oh God, you're right.
Here's the thing, too. You said her outfit, like, what I hate the most about the Wicked Witch's outfit in this movie is everyone else's outfit. I can go, oh yeah, you're the Tin Man. Oh yeah,
you're the Lion.
You're the Lion. Oh yeah, you're the Scarecrow. Even though they're doing like urbanized versions of those outfits that are meant to replicate the grime and grit of 70s New York,
Yeah.
Like, Scarecrow's made up of little bits of like, like food wrappers and crap.
And his stuffing is dictionary
with,
stuff.
Yeah, that are thrown out on the road. Tin Man's made up of like coffee cans and crap like that.
And beer cans.
And
all
the
that,
lion
yeah.
pops out of a
He looks like
One of the New York
museum.
City, no, that's the New York City Library.
yeah, and he looks like
Yeah.
and he looks like he robbed a fur store, you know.
First store.
But
I
the
know what you mean.
yeah, I don't look at the when I looked at the Wicked Witch, I was like, why is she the Red Queen?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was wondering what you said. He said, why is she the Red Queen? And I said, why is she a reject from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 2?
Yeah, she looks more like the Red Queen than the Wicked Witch of the
See?
West. Like, and what baffles me is it's incredibly easy to recreate the Wicked Witch of the West.
Just
You
black
gonna-
It's the-
hat.
Picture a Halloween witch. There you go. That's the Wicked Witch of the West right there. That's
you
what
can go
literally
with green makeup, too, if you want to.
every Halloween witch outfit is just the MGM Wicked Witch of the West.
Hell,
That's
even
fine,
if
fine.
you were gonna go, the Basie gospel singer route, they still, even in the original show,
Give
they had her in
a
black
dress.
robes.
Yeah, a black dress. It's a black dress. How hard is a black dress?
And, what else is there? Oh, I remember the interaction you and I had about that, Dalton.
Yeah.
Where the sweatshop is established.
Mm-hmm.
She's strutting up the center of it, and you looked at me and you said, "That's the Wicked Witch?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." So I got to talk about the best worst musical number, because on one hand, I kind of like what they do for the Emerald City with the whole mass media thing and a bunch of cameras and speakers for the wizard.
Well, that's the thing. This movie's a bunch of cool ideas it doesn't really go that into, and then it just
Yeah.
kind of uses them as set decoration.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it needed more time in the oven.
Yeah.
But
What are we going to do for the Emerald City? 1984.
What?
oh.
But everything is neon colors.
But
But why, though?
Because mass media bad. What?
You can do that better. Just have a bunch of, like, a little CRTVs.
Buddy, this is a movie being released by Motown.
and then like even they do all this cool stuff. They have the little camera on legs. They have the loudspeaker dictating what color the set's going to be. That's cool. But then they just do the whole talking robot head thing anyway, and it's worse and the effects for that look worse than in the 30s.
Yeah.
And then although it did give
here's
me
the thing too. I buy the wizard as imposing in the original film
I don't buy Richard Pryor as imposing.
because like when you give me a Richard Pryor head version of the robot from the cover of Queen's News of the World, it kind of takes out a lot of the menace of like weird big green alien head that's spewing fire with a big booming voice when he just sounds like Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So that whole Emerald City sequence did give me the biggest laugh ever, because that sequence, as cool as it is, goes way too long. They go
Like
from
most of this movie.
they go red to green to gold, and then Dalton predicted,
I went now blue.
and then I said, "You know what the worst part is? You're right." And then you just kind of broke down.
I sunk into despair, and he was like, "I was kidding."
No, you missed it. Aaron heard it, but you were lost for a sec. I gotta do the mic away because I went sucker. Just
Let me tell you,
we're fine.
Good.
this I get what they were going for with like that is the motto of my review of this.
I know what
get
they're
what they were
going
going for, but it's
I feel like that should be the subtitle of this episode.
The Wiz. I get what they were going for, but
... Or not even the but. I get what they were going for. Ellipses.
Yeah.
I just what a waste. What a waste.
Yeah.
Which
The
is
thing
funny
I thought
because the design aesthetic of this movie is a wastebasket.
It is.
I just
It's literal trash.
Oh, gosh.
I'm actually kind of proud of myself. That was some devious thinking on my end with the blue.
The last time I made a comment similar to that was when we were watching Moulin Rouge, and you're like, "Oh my God, does she have tuberculosis?" And I'm like, "Yep."
This
You're like, "You're fucking kidding."
Yeah, I was like, I was fucking kidding.
but these are the days I live for. It's a nice sunny day, watching movies.
Torturing me again.
It's okay, torture me too, because my recollection of this movie falls into falling asleep about 40 minutes into the movie.
Let me tell you, I got a hell of a recommendation for a movie for you if you have sleeping issues.
The Wiz.
Hey, it's better than falling asleep to The Godfather like I used to. Because, like, that movie starts in a way where it's really easy to fall asleep because the first scene is, like, you know, the whole Vito Corleone dark room speech and stuff. And then you immediately cut to the wedding scene where it's all super loud. Oh. And I would always wake up for a bit.
Jesus, shit.
And, like, that shot of Lemmy with the light shining in his face in the bed where, like... and then I would go back to sleep.
Well, you know what mine was?
What?
So... You know how the first 2/3 of The Exorcist is very slow build up?
Very quiet, yeah.
Very quiet, very slow build up.
Yeah.
And then the last of the movie, you're like, what the fuck is going on? That was me with The Exorcist when I was younger. Once I got to, like, them screaming, like, the power of Christ compels you, I'm just like, what the fuck?
I feel like another scene where you can fall asleep like that, too, is, like, The Crucible.
Just the entire play.
It's just the whole thing.
I was in a stage production of The Crucible.
Were you Proctor?
No, I was Thomas, what's his face, the big stuffy landowner.
Who cares?
Guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, the slave owner of Tituba?
No. The guy who owns a bunch of land in the town.
Oh yeah.
Tom or John, some old name.
You
know, one of the...
I know people named Tom and
I
John.
know, but, you know, like, the surnames where you don't hear those surnames
like
anymore.
Proctor.
Yeah, exactly. And we do a scene... I'm in my the stage adaptation, he has, like, 2 scenes. He has, like...
oh, yeah, he only has, like, a scene in the beginning
and a scene in, like, the end, basically.
Yeah.
Like, one of the second to last scenes, like, the big trial sequence. And I come in to testify. I have like 1 or 2 lines, and I remember being so angry at Miss Gargis, my teacher.
Really?
Because I go, all right, so I just leave now, right? And she goes, no. And I go, but I have no more lines in this scene, and it's weird if I'm just sitting on the stand and not saying anything. And everyone's talking around me. That's not good stage direction.
Wait.
And it makes me distracting. I'm like, Gargis, it says here in the script, exits. And she's like, well, you should be there. It doesn't make sense for you to leave in a courtroom setting. And I'm like, true. However, this is a stage show. And people are just going to keep looking at me, wondering when I'm going to say a line.
This movie. That's this movie, too, because...
Please tell me you fell asleep on the stand.
And we're doing dress rehearsals.
Oh, no.
It is like late.
Yeah, probably 10 o'clock at that
point.
Yeah,
and I'm just tired because The Crucible
is a very long and very boring play.
It's very boring.
Hot take. It's very long, very boring. And I'm just
That's not a hot take. That's just every theater kid knows that.
And I just nodded off. I'm not going to lie. I just nodded off.
So did you just stand there on stage just...
No, I was in a chair.
Oh.
So I'm just nodded off. And at one point, Russell, who's on the stage with me, just was like, did you just fucking fall asleep? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. And he was just
look at the wait for that.
And he was just
That's some good shit.
He was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, this play is boring. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt even worse for my buddies Sean and Gordy because they were guards.
Oh no,
Wait,
they had to stand the entire time.
Yeah. They were guards, but they didn't have lines. So they just had to be like
for 2 hours.
Dude. I know Gordy, and he was probably dying to move. Was he?
Yeah. It was painful, man. And like and Gargis never said anything to me. But I know she knew because later, like a couple of years later, she's like talking about things that you should do on stage. She's like, you shouldn't fall asleep. And she looks in my direction when I said it, and I'm just like, and I leaned over to Russell and I was like, we're doing the fucking Crucible. And he's like, yeah, we were doing a fucking Crucible. She wasn't a stooge.
But speaking of bad stage,
It's funny, because I remember when you met my friend Anders, and he's done off-Broadway productions. He was in a production of The Crucible, and he was like, I fucking hate that play.
Everyone who does The Crucible, who is not named Abigail Williams or John Proctor, hates
Fucking
doing
hates
The Crucible.
Yeah.
it's a dull
It's a very
play.
long and boring play.
Oh, wait, no. It's fun if you're Giles Corey as well.
Yeah, because you have a couple scenes, and then you're like, more weight.
And then
that's
you get the most badass scene ever, where it's like, confess, more weight. You're like, yo, that's badass.
I remember we did a read-along of the play to The Crucible when I was in high school.
Everyone does.
Everyone did.
Everyone does.
was the
And
worst
I got a part of
experience.
Sarah Good.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was like my character description, and I was like, oh, I know this person from history, blah blah. She had a badass last words, and then it was like, this is a fat drunk woman.
It's like, wow.
It's like, wow, thanks. Whoever wrote The Crucible, whose name I'm forgetting.
That reminds me of one of my favorite bits of ahistorical information. There's there's the common misconception that the Great Fire of Chicago was caused by a cow owned by an Irish woman. No one knows.
Oh.
It was just anti-Irish propaganda spread.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But the reason people think it was a cow is because a reporter misinterpreted what a dude was saying, because he was like, who did it? And he went, oh, some Irish cow.
Oh.
It was like,
Yeah,
wow, fuck you.
Oh, wait, do we only have 1 minute of recording left?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Okay.
That's me not paying attention to how much footage I have of my camera.
And
I think we could close it, right?
I think
we could close it. That was the Wiz, troubled production, yada yada. Go listen.
Skip it.
Listen to the score.
Do the
listen to the Broadway production and then watch like a live on Broadway thing.
look up a slime tutorial. Look up a slime tutorial of the Wiz and just do that. Just do that, for the love of God. Just do that.
Musical March continues, however, and the hands are in those of Erin.
Okay, sorry, I'm just still kind of laughing about the whole camera situation.
It is pretty fun.
All right.
Okay. So, for the next installment of Musical March... Ah, shit. Stay!
Love that song.
I want you to stay... Not that one.
No, Oingo Boingo.
Oingo Boingo. Anyway, sorry.
If we can get through one more night. If we can get through one
Okay. I love you, babe.
I love you too.
Okay, moving on.
I love you both despite myself. Anyway.
Okay, so my next pick for music... Please cut this out, Richie.
We are a professional podcast.
I'm not cutting
We
that
have
one.
an editor for this reason.
I'm not cutting that. You made your bed, now sleep in it. Now go.
On the next episode
So,
of Musical March.
on K-Hero Killer Score. The musical that we'll be doing is The Road to El Dorado. We can cut it here, right?
See, I'd be happy. I was gonna cheer, and then you took the wind out of my sails. Road to El Dorado.
Next time on
Next
Killer
time.
Score.
Who the fuck cares?
Da, 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 da.